We set boundaries in almost every area of our lives, including our various workplaces. But in our Ghanaian culture, many people don't seem to understand the need of respecting boundaries, or they choose to simply ignore them, particularly at work. The majority of individuals, I believe, have experienced moments where they wish they could yell or even slap some sense, reason, or respect into someone at work who was simply crossing the line. They are uncountable. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in this world. My name is Golda Abba Dai, and you're welcome to Golda's Haven. My guest for today is Mr. Nana Kwame Brobe. He was our guest for our last podcast. Nana, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. The last time was great and I love to be here.
Thank you very much. Now today he's here to help me talk about boundaries in the workplace. So today we decided to go outside and have the conversation, so please forgive the background noises. So Nana, you know how most of the time when we want to, develop a topic for the podcast, you have to do a bit of research, into the conversation, yes. So I did a bit of research and I found two definitions for boundaries. So I'm going to read them. It says, according to psychotherapist Esther Perel, the most important definition of boundaries is about connection and separateness. It's about letting people in and opening up, or about limiting and creating separateness and knowing where you stop and where the other starts, so that not everything becomes a part of you. Now, when it comes to boundaries in the workplace, this is according to masterclass.com. Boundaries are the rules and guidelines workers implement for themselves and human resources established for a company to set clear lines between one's professional and personal life. Human resources department often develop protocols to protect employees from workplace harassment. Other work boundaries might include an employee's limit to respond to emails during set work hours. Healthy work boundaries maintain a worker's safety and physical, emotional, and mental health. So, Nana, do you agree with these definitions, or do you have another definition of
I think I agree.
Boundaries?
Yeah, I think I agree. And they cover both, just not the collective idea of work boundaries between workers, but also boundaries for self.
Yeah.
So I agree with both.
Okay. So, why do you think that we need to set boundaries in the workplace?
For a healthy mental state to begin with, and secondly for productivity, because messed up boundaries would definitely affect productivity. People need to know their place, for themselves and for others, because that is the only way that productivity can be maximized. Because if somebody keeps on crossing your boundary, it messes you up emotionally. You're pissed off. You're not in the right state of mind emotionally and mentally, affect productivity. If you yourself do not set boundaries for yourself in a workplace as to know when to strike a good work-life balance, you would also be messed up mentally, emotionally, which will affect productivity. So for your mental health and for a good level of productivity, we must do ourselves the service of setting boundaries.
Have you been in a place at your workplace where someone has crossed the line and you should be just, put them in their place, but
Almost definitely. And if you know me, I do put you in your place. I just find a better way to put it. A more corporate
find a constructive way of telling the person you're crossing the line.
Exactly. You know me. I would always find a way to do that to you because I am very prickly when it comes to stuff like that. I would immediately feel pricked when somebody crosses a line. And I'll read the room and find the most appropriate way to let you know that this is not the way to go.
Okay, so given the fact that you work and you've been around people for a while, do you think that there's a higher level of people crossing boundaries in the workplace?
One thing that I've realized is HR can set rules and what boundaries mean to workers, but then workers define what those rules mean to them.
Okay.
Because people are not bots. The rules are set for co-workers. Okay. But in working in a space, sometimes you go beyond being just co-workers. Okay. And I always say this, boundaries for the most part of it is not the who. It's not the what is the who. As in, it's not what is mean, then it's who is doing it to you. Because when you establish such a relationship with somebody that goes beyond just being colleagues, certain things will not rub off you in a wrong way. Like, if you are friends with somebody, they could make a joke, you would totally laugh to and see that it's fine. But let somebody else make the same joke and you're like, I'm not like that with you. So it's most of the times the who's saying it, not mostly the what. Because HR would decide what the whats are, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. But then when you go into a working space with people where relationships are built socially, we determine who the who's are.
So have you, I think I asked this question before, whether you've had a bit of an experience with it. But have you experienced it with someone that, you don't have that kind of relationship that you're talking about with, and, the person crossed the line?
Yes.
What was your reaction? How did you?
Yes, and I think you like to remind them. I personally like to remind them, especially in a corporate setting. In any other setting, I would definitely go off.
Okay.
Because I have the right to, and I'm not bound by no appropriate behavioral rules. But in a workplace, I am bound by yes. So I'll find a way to remind you that it's not what you think it is. Like the last time somebody did that, I think the person, and all the time they exaggerate what they think you are or what you have. Somebody would think just because you smiled at them one time, you have built something like that, exactly. So it's always them of exaggerating what the relationship is. So in that moment, I like to say, go back to the drawing table. You are not talking to a friend; you are talking to a colleague, and talk like that to me.
For me, I think it's just my personality.
Yeah.
I think the boundary is already in place.
Yeah.
So the way my personality is, we can laugh, we can talk about things, but then I may not say, but that this is a boundary that you don't cross. But I think we've all gotten to the point where we've had to deal with someone who just doesn't even realize that, okay, you don't do this with your co-worker, don't do that with your co-worker, and all that. So you're saying that you find a way to get it across to the person that, okay, don't cross this kind of boundary. What about the adults? Our system is set up in a way where, we believe that adults are right.
Yeah.
So what do you do about an adult in the workplace who is, an adult? And they should know that this is not something that you should do to your colleague, whether younger or older. The point is respect the boundaries. But, Ghana, how do you address, that kind of coworker? Sometimes they may even be your boss or your supervisor.
Yes, true. Age is not a metaphor for wisdom, so let's get that.
I agree with that.
Yes, and sometimes it's not even about the age in this context. It's even about like the hierarchy of the hierarchy in the workplace. Like if sometimes you could even be older than a person, but because they are
a superior,
a superior, they expect you to toe their line, no matter how wrong they are.
Yeah.
How do you do it? A lot of people like to let it pass. But it's again, personality-wise, I'm not the type to let it pass.
Especially women. It will bring me to sexual harassment.
Exactly. You cannot choose to sweep certain things under the rug in certain situations, because then it almost becomes like a nod to whatever the person is doing to you. It's almost like, if it ever comes up that, what you did was wrong, you're just going to be, but you didn't say anything.
So then, I like, there's this saying that says silence means consent.
Exactly.
So the fact that you didn't talk about it, then
exactly.
You're okay with it, so then I can do it.
Exactly. People, whether you like it or not, people are not that wise and independently emotionally intelligent.
Okay. To know that this
that I'm not going to do this to you. Okay. They're going to go on and do it to you, and it will surprise you that they're looking for you to voice your displeasure before they stop. Even when you're obviously
uncomfortable. Sometimes they may even see from your face.
Yes, but still like, you've not said anything. Okay, some people are just not very smart like that. So you would have to voice your displeasure to them. Nah. Find that this like a very respectful, appropriate way to speak about it. So, even if you don't want to like tell them what you did was wrong, just start saying, I don't like what you're doing. Don't go into details, but voice.
I like that you brought that, because it brings me to sexual harassment. Obviously, that's not the topic, but we're just going to touch on it a little bit, especially for us women.
Yeah.
You could be wearing something that is not tight and doesn't really, draw your figure, and a man will still find something to say that is inappropriate. The thing that I was saying before is, I think my personality, I don't know, it has this energy of don't try that kind of thing with me, but you will meet people who still, will go across the boundaries. Like, what should a woman do? Because I heard something in one of our, big places where people work, and a young lady got a job, was working, blah blah blah. But you know how when we go there, then the men, okay, I like you, like me back. You're uncomfortable, you're unhappy. You talk to maybe someone else, maybe an adult, a woman who's older. You think maybe she'll be like, okay, I'm fighting for you. Okay, I'm in HR, I'll do this for you. And then they rather tend to say you're not smart. I mean, this is a big man. He has money. He's capable of changing your life. Why don't you make use of that opportunity? And maybe these young girls end up quitting because I cannot take this, so I will quit. In that moment, it is very unfair to people. So, you know, I agree with what you're saying, that sometimes you have to open your mouth and tell the person it's inappropriate. You know, like, don't compliment me. Especially as a man who's up. There's a difference, maybe, once in a while, you see an outfit, I like your outfit. That is fine. But some people make it a habit. Wow. Tarina was wow, the shape is out. Oh, I didn't know you had ass. I didn't know you had this. You know, it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
So and I think it's difficult for most of us women because, hey, Mejuma, you cannot fire me. What do I do? So then let me take it. What I wish I had an HR person here who would spell out some of the rules that they have. Unfortunately, she's busy. So, but I think we can, you know, even with our minds think, okay, there are rules. Don't say this to this kind of person. This borders on sexual harassment. But I don't really think it works in companies because these people are powerful men and they get away with it.
Exactly. You're right.
From a man's perspective, how would you suggest that us women tell these men, bosses, powerful men, don't compliment my body, don't talk about my outfit? Unless it's inappropriate and it's indecent and you want to tell me this is not how you dress to the office, that's fine. Wow, I like your shape, I like your ass. I didn't have. Don't say things like that. It's uncomfortable and inappropriate, but most women cannot tell you because you are who you are.
Yeah, true.
From a man's perspective, do you think we should just up and like, I don't appreciate it?
No, first of all, from a man's perspective, I would even want to talk about what men shouldn't do than what women should do.
Exactly.
Because then women are the victims, so you don't
tell the women to do it. You teach the men this is not the right thing to do.
So, and I feel like most HR departments, most sexual harassment courses are built to police women.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and it's funny because recently I think a friend of ours told us, at this very, very popular government institution, their NSS persons, the women, the national service people are told, especially the women, are told not to wear dresses that are that are above the knee.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to smile in the directions of their superiors. They're not supposed to be seen.
Don't wear
talking with them. I'm like, are you mad? Why are you?
This is a corporate environment.
Clearly, there's a power imbalance.
Exactly, it's really like you're doing things to favor the ones who are the. I don't want to use the word predators, but the offenders.
They are predators.
Yeah.
You do not talk to the prey about that. You talk to the predators about it.
They are
doing the chasing. They're doing the hunting.
So do you think that maybe in the calendars of companies, they should think about maybe every 3 months, every 6 months, reorient them so that they know that these are things that you don't do to your subordinates. I know that women can also, sexually harassment. There's no arguments there, but it's just that with women, it's quite
it's a lot. Yeah, classes should be steered towards teaching men, and not only just teaching men, punishing men.
Exactly. There should be
it's causing sexual harassment boundaries, because it is not just enough to just teach men. Men have been conditioned because of societies to think of themselves entitled to women's bodies, to women's choices. Men have been groomed to see themselves as the superior heads, and women theirs to own and objectify. So it's not just enough to teach them, because just teaching them will not be enough. Show them the consequences. Okay. Don't hide and protect men who cross the line. Punish them. If you want to sack them, sack them. Use them as a form of deterrent against other sexual harassment issues. You
know how you just said sometimes you can develop a certain relationship with your colleague and it goes beyond colleagues and all that. Do you think that your colleague is really your friend in the workplace?
Yes,
I know some people vibe to a certain level and they honestly become friends.
Yeah.
But the majority, I've heard most people who work in HR or certain sectors of the company advisor don't ever believe that your colleague is your friend.
Yeah, I think I see that. Recently, I even saw something like that. Your colleagues are not your friends.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that, right? Okay. To say this, unless you work in a purely corporate setting, devoid of any other human relations other than work.
Okay, that's impossible.
It's impossible to think your colleague is like a friend. It's impossible, and it is so wrong to always be on edge enough not to see genuine people when you see it, right? Because at the end of the day, you are spending time, long hours with this person who has access to you in many ways in much more ways than you're willing to even let on. They have access to you, to your space, to your things. People in the workplace could hurt you, could harm you. But then people in the workplace could love you, could save you. Right? It's like in every room you walk in, as much as you have God, you must have people on your side. Because you're going to always have people against you somehow. You have to. When you walk out of the room, there must be somebody in the room that is speaking for you, and that must be a friend.
So you believe that people can form genuine relationships?
People can, and
so don't be so closed off that you miss good friendship that can come.
People should.
Do you think that some boundaries in the workplace are extreme? Obviously, we don't have an HR person to list them out, but we've been in workplaces, we've heard some. Do you think there's any that is too extreme in the workplace? Like, for example, some companies are like, don't date your co-worker. Will we call that a boundary, or that a rule?
I think, it is a boundary, right? And from an employer's perspective, they want to increase productivity. They don't want to mix business with pleasure, because if things go south, then what happens to your productivity at the workplace? So I understand them. But I think at the end of the day, they have to do what it is best to save them and their business, and not doing that. But I'm just of the view that people could work together and still date. But that is from my perspective of saying, I think people have mastered emotional intelligence. People have mastered a good work-life balance. People can master both relationships in and outside the workplace, right? But then again, too, there are also like considerable number of people that cannot do that. And it is not the job of like business owners to
care about
seek
that.
and care about that. That is their business. So they're going to do what it is best for them. They're going to do what's best for them, what can protect their business and protect their money. And that's totally fine. But I just feel like, if given the freedom, I feel like some people, I feel like, I would want to be allowed to
be able to explore.
Explore.
But I like the word that you use. You use emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I won't say most people don't have it, but
most people don't have it.
Most people because you know how you're in a workplace. Say, let me use you and I work. We work in the same place, and then we develop feelings for each other. We decide, okay, we're going to take the next step, go into a relationship. Some people don't have the emotional intelligence to be like, okay, this is the workplace. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
And if it happens that the relationship ends, it becomes a disaster.
Yeah.
People can't function. People can't talk to you. Sometimes if you happen to be on the same team, what word do I use? Should I say it retrogresses the progress of the team. Productivity goes down because you people are having a fight.
Yeah.
In someone's company. Yeah. So I think sometimes when companies set these kinds of rules, these are the things that they think about. But in other circumstances, people do genuinely fall in love. They do have emotional intelligence, and then they can, survive. So it is a bit of
a dilemma. But then the business owners are always going to protect their business, and rightly so. They should.
Give the rules, you obey.
Yeah, you obey. Rules. Because I have Black Baby. Well, I knew of somebody in my previous workplace that seemingly was together with somebody. Okay. On the same floor, and one time I just met them crying, like sobbing, and it was because they're having relationship problems. I'm like, are you crying on the clock, babes?
That's the word that you use, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
If you want to be in a relationship with someone in a workplace, you have to master the art of controlling your emotions. If you cannot, you're about to mess up someone's business, and that is the basis for someone to tell you, I'm firing you, or you cannot be in my workplace anymore. So some people, there may be rules like that there, but they end up falling in love. But they use emotional intelligence so they survive, and then they are okay.
True.
So if you can do that, then that is fine. If you cannot do that, then don't do that. So this is a very broad topic, but we can't go into detail like that. But I like the fact that we touched on, what you call it, sexual harassment, even if it wasn't into details. We are talking about the fact that respect boundaries, whether you're a man or a woman.
True.
Understand that you don't just up and even the complimenting depends on the kind of tone that you use. You don't say, I like that as, oh, your shape is out, oh, wow.
That is catcalling something.
Exactly. It's very disrespectful. You can say, I like your watch, it's beautiful. I love your shoes. Those are not, but some people use vulgar language and find a way to say those things. It makes people uncomfortable. So be professional when you're in a professional setting. I don't care whether you're having a crush, you're having a what. Respect people's boundaries and don't go like that. And do you think that with the work kind of friendships, how do I put it? Should you be telling them everything?
No, because not just because they are work friends. No, because the levels of trust that comes with different levels of vulnerability.
Yes. Yeah.
And trust is built over time.
It is.
So I would say you do not share everything because you have not built trust over time with this person, right? But if your relationship you feel like it's tried and tested and you totally trust this person, go ahead. But just do not feel don't speak loosely just because of the illusion of comfort. Okay. Like, I'm comfortable with this person. They're not your friend. Doesn't mean they're a friend.
Okay.
Right? So if you feel like, oh, this person is my friend, I can trust them with what I'm telling them, go ahead but just don't. It's easy to buy into the illusion of comfort. But just because you're comfortable with somebody
doesn't make the person,
your
trustworthy.
It's like, doesn't mean you're trustworthy.
Because I have this thing I've noticed it along the way of life, that even if I meet someone today, sometimes they become so comfortable and they tell me their problems and all that. And honestly, I'm not about to have a conversation with someone else about your business. We have it there, it's done. Sometimes I even forget it because we've had it. If I'm supposed to help you with advice, I give it to you and then we're done. So yes, sometimes it may be weird for me because I'm like, okay, I don't know you like that. Why are we having this conversation?
Yes, it's always weird.
But what can you do?
It's always somebody.
And I think that people also look at people, like you said, don't use the illusion of comfort and all that. Sometimes, for me, like I said, I'm not about to have a conversation with someone about your business, but it may not be the same for someone else. Okay, so like you said, don't talk loosely. They may be your colleagues, you may vibe and all that, but you have to get to a certain level to determine that, okay, this is the level of our relationship. I trust you enough to have this kind of conversation. Okay, so now with workplace boundaries, what about, the same way, our older women? Some people just tend to hate on younger women just for existing.
Yes.
Do you get it? Like, but still, I don't know what, I don't want to use I can't call it jealousy. I don't know what it is, but
it could be
most of our older men, don't call them older men, call them mature people who are older than us in the workplace. They just see you and they become upset.
Yeah.
Even if you're capable of doing your job, how are young girls supposed to deal with that? Because sometimes and they go and say things that may not be true and may be affecting your work, and you're uncomfortable in that work environment. What are we supposed to do about?
I would say this: it's generational differences and jealousy.
Okay.
A lot of older women are jealous of the level of freedom and choice that younger women have that they didn't have. And everything new to them could come off as offensive to them.
Okay.
Because now they're like, why are you always on your phone? These drunkards are always on your phone.
Yeah.
They're always speaking to men. They're always
smiling. So like, that is a crime.
Exactly. No, just what you go through when you climb the ladder is not a prototype of what people should go through.
I love that. That is absolutely true. It's like
exactly. They're looking for you to be pulling through the mud. They're looking for you to obviously be suffering.
Yeah.
Obviously be like going through a lot. Taking this with like the boots on.
Yeah.
No. Just because you have that bootstrap
doesn't mean someone should have to
you put it out of the mud doesn't mean that is a prototype. Like you people go through hard stuff so that people after you could go through it easier than you do.
Yeah.
You have it hard so other people can have it easy.
True.
So just because you went through a certain type of treatment, just because your journey was a certain type of way, doesn't mean that everybody else's journey should be like that.
Be the same way.
And just because you got what you got, being who you are, doesn't mean that somebody has to be who you are before they deserve or they do things that will come to them.
That is absolutely, because we've had many instances when you work in a place, people come to you just by your own experience. Say maybe a young woman, you're working, and then the boss of the building, so you're in a big corporate setting, the boss is super, say billionaire, millionaire level. You're working and the man meets you. Hello, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, thank you. What's your name? What do you do? What's your department? Maybe you're having a conversation with that man, and that woman is standing in the back watching, and the thing that comes out of their mouth, oh shit, she's flirting with those kinds of offensive thinking. And I know that some people did that to get there, but it doesn't mean that every woman
should do that.
Did that to get there. So it's I like that. I like that you said there's generational differences, and some is just jealousy, and some people is just plain I don't like you.
I don't like you.
And I can understand that happens in life. Sometimes you may meet someone and your energy doesn't vibe, but it doesn't mean that just because your energy doesn't vibe, make life difficult
for them,
for the person. So you're right. I like this. We can't. As an interesting topic, I feel like we could go and go. So maybe we'll do a part 2. But I like that we touched on the fact that sexual harassment is a crime on both parts. Don't make your co-worker feel uncomfortable. Don't say sexual, things.
Innuendos. Don't
exactly
make them
inappropriate ones towards a man or a woman. It goes both ways, and there should be consequences for doing that to your co-worker, rather than okay, I'm going to query you, or okay, we heard that you did this, don't repeat it again. No, let there be serious consequences, so they realize that you can't do that to your co-worker. And also be open. We're not saying just throw everything out there, but have an open mind and realize that you could find the bestest person for your life in your workplace in terms of friendship. Right? If your company has a dating policy, fine, you can date, but do it with wisdom and emotional intelligence. And realize that don't just be because we have a little crush, we vibe, let's date. That becomes a whole other thing. Use wisdom and then do that. And we're also saying that young people should also do their jobs well. You may be pretty and all that, but and you're pretty near DDT. So that productivity. Okay, so then we talked about generational differences, and we said we may come from different generations, but we can still work together and do our thing. The point is that we must be respectful of people's boundaries, even if you don't understand it. Unless it is extreme and crazy and is affecting the workplace, then you can talk about it. So the point is that Ghanaians, please respect people's boundaries in the workplace and even personally. Nana, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
Always.
My name is Golda Abadai. This has been Golda's Haven. Toodles.